Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is the truth behind the fallout between Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith. So that's the topic I'm going to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, make sure you check out Dreamerspro Max, an online sports community, place you can talk about basketball, chat live during games, so many other cool things. So we have that linked in the comment section below. Anyway, I've always said that I didn't think that Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman had great chemistry together. I never got the same vibe that I got from him. Stephen, in this case, we're talking about Stephen A. Smith when he was working with Skip Bayless. When those two were working, they had a real vibe, and it showed because it took that show. I mean, we're talking about First Take. It took it from being a great morning sports debate show to one of the biggest shows in the United States, right? So big that you started having celebrities or the athletes come on there, people to come and talk about their books, their movies, and all of these different things. And we did a video about, I'm going to say 2 months ago, where we asked the question where I said, is Stephen A. Smith, should Stephen A. Smith be called out for his constant bullying of Max Kellerman on TV? And we did that video. That video did pretty well. And there was some pushback in that video from some of the viewers. They said, no. It's just entertainment. It's just entertainment. These two guys are doing this, just for TV. And I said, I didn't really think so. It seemed to me that Max Kellerman genuinely got on Stephen A.'s nerves. I don't think he was acting. And I said, listen, if these two guys were such great actors, they would be on a Hollywood set, right? They would be on a Hollywood set making millions of dollars, doing something else. There's no way these guys are acting that well, right? I thought that there was something there that didn't seem natural, and it turned out that the duo, in fact, actually had some issues, because I think it was a week or two ago, we heard the news that Max Kellerman was going to be leaving ESPN First Take, and to us, it seemed to be an abrupt ending, right? We're like, what? Like, Max Kellerman is leaving First Take. It took, it shocked all of us. However, at the end of that, I was asking myself, I said, why did they get rid of Max Kellerman? We recently came across an article, and this was actually sent to us from one of our members on Dreamerspro Max. His name is Mark. So I want to give you a shout out, Mark, for sending us this video. And it's an article from the Sports Rush, right? And the Sports Rush actually had some pretty interesting things to say regarding the whole Max Kellerman departure from ESPN First Take. So I want to read a little bit of some of the things that they had to say in this article. It starts off saying, listen, Stephen A. Smith has wanted Max Kellerman off First Take for years. Reports claim the ESPN analyst didn't appreciate Max Kellerman's smartest guy in the room attitude. It continues. News surrounding Max Kellerman and his departure from ESPN First Take had been making rounds all over the NBA Twitter and Reddit for weeks. A couple of days ago, the rumors were validated as ESPN announced that they will be taking Max Kellerman off as a co-host alongside Stephen A. Smith and are set to replace him with a reoccurring analyst, right? A New York Post columnist, Andrew McCann, took to his Twitter page to say that it was Stephen A. Smith who was a catalyst in having Max Kellerman taken off their show together. It was reportedly nothing personal, and that Stephen A. Smith felt Kellerman's smartest guy in the room attitude was not something he wanted to go up against. They said a lot of pretty interesting things in this article. Apparently, and I don't know this to be the case, but it seems as if Stephen A. Smith may have been a little bit intimidated by Max Kellerman, right? That's what I was able to glean from this article here. It's worth saying. Let me just say this outright. Stephen A. Smith is an extremely sharp guy, right? He's a very smart man. Like, you don't get to that level, in your business and not be a pretty smart dude. He's a pretty smart dude. He knows how to articulate himself very well. He has a lot of connections. He's been in the NBA circles for decades. So it's not like as if we're just talking about any old dude here. We're talking about Stephen A. Smith, who's at the if we're talking about sports analysts, corporate sports analysts, he's at the top because he earns the most money. I think he's earning about $12 million a year, $1 million a month. So, he's definitely doing his thing, and, he has a lot of clout when it comes to him. But on the other hand, I do think that Max Kellerman was a bit more analytical than Stephen A. Smith was, right? Now, some people may want to say that means it's smarter, however you want to characterize it. But I do think Max Kellerman was a little bit sharper on the analytical side of things, and maybe sometimes that got him in trouble as well, right? Because sometimes he had this thing where he relied a little bit too much. He based too many of his arguments on numbers, and because he would do that, it would oftentimes lead him to make some kind of preposterous, predictions, or he would even say some preposterous things. For example, that Kawhi Leonard is more clutch than Kobe Bryant. He's relying on the numbers, not relying on the eye test, not relying on context. Obviously, you have that. You have the Tom Brady cliff theory from an analytical standpoint. If you're just looking at the numbers, theoretically, it looked like he was going to be right, but obviously Tom Brady is, he's an outlier, right? So although you say there's a cliff theory, he's been proving you wrong ever since, right? So Max Kellerman's had his time in the sun where he said some things that really rubbed people the wrong way and had people scratching their heads. I do remember the thing about him saying, he would rather have Andre Iguodala take the last shot over Stephen Curry, which is absurd. Ultimately, based on some of the things that I was able to understand from this article, it does seem that Stephen A. Smith seemed to be a little bit intimidated by Max's smartest guy in the room attitude. And it could be true, right? It could be true. I don't know how true it is, right? But I do remember some episodes where, they used to play off of it, like, because Max Kellerman always used to say, I think Max Kellerman went to Columbia, if I'm not mistaken. I'm Ivy League educated, and kind of had like a pompous kind of attitude. And maybe Stephen A. Smith felt a type of way about that. There are people that will feel, a certain way with people around people that like to say, oh, I went to Harvard, this kind of dichotomy does exist in society. So I'm not ruling out the fact that it could have been a factor in Stephen A. Smith ultimately wanting him to leave. But what I do think is surprising is that Stephen A. Smith was the catalyst to say, listen, man, this guy, I've had enough of this guy. We need to get him the heck up out of there. And I do think that was true because of what? Because he's a star of the show. He's a star of the network. As a matter of fact, he is the face of ESPN, and although when they are on TV, it seems as if there's a kind of a balanced partnership, but in reality, it's not. Stephen A. Smith is the big wig, right? He's the big guy. He's the big fish. He's the one receiving the biggest check of the network if we're talking about employees. So I definitely think that he definitely played a part. As far as the thing of him being intimidated, I don't know Stephen A. Smith personally, so there's no way for me to know that. But it could be a possibility. But I do nevertheless think that this article is a bit surprising, right? To hear that this could have been one of the things where it's like this guy felt intimidated. So ultimately, what I want to know is, what do you guys think about all of this? What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Stephen A. Smith was intimidated by Max Kellerman's intelligence? Do you think that was it? Do you think that he was just tired of maybe Max Kellerman seeming a little bit too pompous? Like, oh, I'm so smart. I'm Ivy League educated, blah, 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 blah. And that does exist. There are guys that behave that way. People that go to these pristine institutions, educational institutions, who kind of walk around with that air around them, like, I'm so smart. Marcellus Wiley, to an extent, does the same. I think he went to Columbia, if I'm not mistaken. I think him and Max Kellerman went to Columbia, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, right? Or Stanford. I think he went to Stanford or Columbia, one of these two places. So that could also be a place. So what I want to know from you guys ultimately is this: what do you think was the ultimate reason that Stephen A. Smith said, hey, listen, man, I can't deal with this guy anymore? Because I do believe he was the one that ultimately, he was the one that suggested that. I don't think Max Kellerman suggested himself to be removed from the show. So these are my thoughts and opinions, but I do want to know what you guys think about this. So whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.